Canva presents your work horoscope for this week. Deadlines are in retrograde, which we all know can bring some intense energy. Our advice: fend off this forecast with Canva. Like Canva whiteboards to counter creative blocks, and Canva docs for clarity in communications. If you have any sales deals coming through, results will be in your favor with Canva presentations, manifesting many wins for you. It's a great week to love your work at canva.com.
I think you're on mute.
Workday starting to sound the same?
I think you're on mute.
Find something that sounds better for your career on LinkedIn. With LinkedIn Job Collections, you can browse curated collections by relevant industries and benefits, like flex PTO or hybrid workplaces, so you can find the right job for you. Get started at linkedin.com/jobs. Finding where you fit. LinkedIn knows how.
Jewelry isn't a gift you give just once. It's a way to remind your loved one of a beautiful moment every time they see it. Blue Nile can help you find the gift that says how you feel and says it beautifully, with expert guidance and a wide assortment of jewelry of the highest quality at the best price. Go to BlueNile.com and experience the convenience of shopping Blue Nile, the original online jeweler since 1999. That's BlueNile.com to find the perfect jewelry gift for any occasion. BlueNile.com.
Achtung Millwall podcast supports the Lions Food Hub, dear listeners, and you can do too by getting yourself an Achtung Millwall t-shirt from noonelikes.co.uk, also known as Nolu Clothing. They've got a wonderful Achtung Millwall t-shirt on there for £15. At least £8 of each sale goes to support the Lions Food Hub, which does fantastic work for families in and around the South East 16 area. Show your allegiances on the podcast front, dear listeners, by getting yourself an Achtung Millwall t-shirt, and by doing that, you'll support the wonderful, the brilliant Lions Food Hub. Noonelikes.co.uk, Achtung Millwall t-shirt, £15. Check it out.
You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Welcome, thrice welcome, dear listeners. Welcome to a cool grey afternoon in South Bermondsey. We're all here for the visit of West Bromwich Albion, 6th place West Bromwich Albion, to the Den this afternoon. Playoff contending West Bromwich Albion. The Lions obviously in the wake of that very, shall I put it diplomatically, very disappointing trip down to Devon on Wednesday night. 5-1 shellacking at Plymouth Argyle. Hoping to set matters all right. Your Lions this afternoon, dear listeners. Lucas Jensen in goal. Back line, Tristan Kramer, Jake Cooper, Jeff Tanganga, Joe Bryan across the back line. In front of them, as a team change, Billy Mitch comes in for Jules Saville. Casper Denor as a defensive two. The attacking three, Aaron Connolly, Luke Cundall, Femi Aziz also coming into the team from Wednesday night. And up front, the BFS, Mihailo Ivanovic. How did you find Wednesday, listeners? I was actually committed the ultimate Millwall sin of looking forward to watching our trip to Argyle on the telly, and of course it was one of those performances that you just can't quite get a handle on. It was totally bereft of any skill, determination, ambition, anything you like. Let's hope we see different today. Pretty full house in here this afternoon. Kickoff has been delayed by 10 minutes due to travel issues of some sort. I can't imagine why in London these days, where every road seems to be 20 mile an hour or dug up, or railway lines that don't work. I want to give a big shout out before matters start to Terry the taxi driver. Terry the taxi driver, a big shout out to you, and indeed all the taxi drivers of London town. But Terry pulled up alongside me as I was parking the car and walking along through the back doubles of Bermondsey this afternoon. I genuinely thought with the taxi reversing in front of me there was some kind of problem, and I was going to kick off. So you had me for a lemon there for a moment, Terry. A big shout out to you, mate. Really nice words from you about the show. Thank you, Terry the taxi driver, and indeed all the black cab drivers of London. Tony Mowbray, big shout out to Tony Mowbray. Actually, he's the manager of West Brom, back after that health scare. I want to give a big shout out to Tony Mowbray, always a manager that speaks fairly about us when he comes down here. He's expecting a fired up Millwall side following that convincing Plymouth defeat, say the South London press. I really hope so. Tony is correct this afternoon, listeners. It can't get much worse, can it? West Brom this afternoon in a very fetching cerise number. All cerise. Cross between pink and red. Lions, of course, in their familiar dark blue and white. Looks like we're going to be attacking the away end in the first half, as per the teachings and sermons, writings of the Venerable B back in Anglo-Saxon England. In the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, one of his first notes he put is that Millwall shall attacketh the away end in the first half. 3:15 kick-off, so it's going to be 15 minutes late this afternoon, listeners. West Bromwich Albion captained today by Jed Wallace. Never heard of him. In the warm-up, as they were going in for one of their breaks in warm-up due to the delay. Looked like there was a little bit of a conflab with someone in the West Lower between Jed and another. Probably welcome back to the den, Jed, I'd imagine. We're ready to go. Off we jolly well go, listeners. I don't think I introduced the show. This is breaking every rule of podcasting. Welcome to Achtung Millwall, dear listeners. My name is Nick Hart, etc., etc., etc. Yul Brynner used to say that in the King and I, didn't he? Etc., etc., etc. This is Aaron Connolly on the right side. Referee gives a free kick. Dangerous position, draws a free kick just right of the penalty area by about 5 yards short of the penalty area. Chance to cross the ball into the danger zone. It's going to be Joe Bryan that takes. In it comes. It's a deep one. Oh, Jake Cooper with a free header over the bar, but I think the offside flag was up. It was indeed. Put over the bar. In any event. Decent crowd. The Docker stand looks pretty full, listeners. A few empty seats on either side of the Coldblow Lane ends. Family stand. A few empty around me. I don't mind that. I was reading in the MSC notes. I don't know if you ever look at the MSC Supporters Club website, listeners, but there's a report from a meeting with a club in which the club apparently are looking at restructuring the pricing of season tickets, i.e. raising the prices. I kind of, depends on the amount for me, how much will the increase be? There's a fine balance between accepting the investment and the amount of money the club has indeed spent recently. I'm going to guess some of that will be from the SA money, some of it will be from the Fleming money. Also, prices haven't risen for some years, so I get all that. Depends how much the percentage increase is going to be. There's a balance between pricing people out of the game and wanting to encourage and support the traditional fan base. Many people bring their families down here. You want to see that continue. So I'm glad I don't have the responsibility for that, to be quite honest with you. But I do expect the season ticket pricing to be an increased amount. Apparently there's been envious glances at QPR's pricing. I had a quick look at their website. Their top price for a season ticket at Loftus Road is 700 odd quid, which, if Mill go that far, well, I think that will be a big gamble on the club's part. That's just my view. I might balk at 700 quid, listeners. What about you? Would you balk at 700 quid? I might. Free kick Millwall after my little sermon. This is Joe Bryan on the left side. Floats it in. That's a poor cross. Maybe we get a discount on our season tickets for the amount of times we say that's a poor cross from Joe Bryan. Money off discount. Nicely cut out Joe Bryan. And on the run down the left side now. Opportunity Mill. Ball in. Oh, Secondo is Denoir. Oh, wide right from the D. Opportunity for Millwall there. Unlucky. Casper Denoir. CDN. Wide of the right side post. Let's have a look at it on the screen if I can get a sight of it. Nice interception by Joe Bryan coming down that left wing. Little feint. I think Cundall feinted there. He did. Gives it to Denoir. Probably should have expected to have hit the target from there, listeners. Existential question being posed by the Docker stand. Who the fucking hell are you? It's a deep question, actually, if you examine it deeply. Who are you? Who really are you? Little 1-2. Femi Aziz. Dispossessed at the last there as he was trying to make another breakaway by the 2. As you might have guessed, that's Mr. Wallace. Jed, of course, embarrassed himself when first time he came back to West Brom, didn't he? Started. It's an unforgiving arena, the Den. He embarrassed himself. He did try and make amends by going around clapping, but no one was entertaining that. Now it has the air of a, relationship breakdown with bad vibes. I was over here yesterday, listeners, recording another episode of the Wall Talk podcast with the club. Our guest yesterday was Matt Lawrence. Really interesting bloke, Matt Lawrence. Very intelligent guy. And quite an amusing guy, actually. It was quite a nice conversation. So do keep your eyes out for that on the Millwall TV service. There's a ball in from the right side for West Brom across the face of the Millwall goal. 9 minutes. West Brom in possession inside their own half. Yeah, interesting bloke, Matt. Living in America these days. It's like the James Brown song, Living in America. Kansas City. He's going to Kansas City. Kansas City, here he comes. Commentating on like American college soccer out there. Did you notice how I fitted so seamlessly into that vocabulary? If there's any any American college broadcasters tuning in, I want a full-on, born and bred Londoner to come and give comment on soccer games. I can do it. I can sound like it. I can sound the part as well. Call blimey Mary Poppins. I can sound the part. And I wouldn't ask for too much. Six figures. That's all I want. Interesting guy. Have a listen now to the Matt Lawrence Wall Talk podcast when it goes online, listeners. Poor game for Kramer down at Plymouth, I thought. I mean, the whole side had a poor game, so it does seem rather unfair to pick one player out, but it was a poor game all round, including Tristan Kramer, who's someone who's impressed, really, but the only person who impressed me was Nigley, Camille Nigley, in the first half anyway. He looked fast and sharp at Plymouth, but I'm going to guess he's on the bench this afternoon. Ball runs through. This is Ivanovic. Ball spread. Femi Aziz, shot on target, just wide right. He berates himself. He would have wanted that on target, shot from distance. Left corner of the penalty area across the face of the goal. Femi Aziz. 12 minutes. What a transformation in the player, Femi Aziz, listeners. When he first came to us, I will confess to you, as just between you and me, that I didn't really think much of the kid, and thought we'd signed a dud, to be honest with you. But a player transformed, and it's great to see it. So I will gladly eat humble pie and chips. Aziz, little feint, 1-2 with Kundal. Does brilliantly well, goes down, it's a free kick. He's actually worked that quite well, because I think he's just got away from him a little bit there. Must have been the barest hint of a touch there, but he's gone down very, very well. The darkest of dark arts by Femi Aziz there. I love to see it. Free kick Millwall, just left of the West Brom penalty area. What are we on? 13 minutes. Another free kick for Joe Bryan to put into the danger zone. Mixed form for West Bromwich Albion since the departure of Carlos Corberan back in Christmas. There's the return, obviously, from illness of Tony Mowbray. I think I've read 12 points from 10 games. They've had poor form, but they do sit in sixth position. There's a real distinct gap now between the top four, from Sunderland, Burnley, Leeds, Sheffield United, all on 60-something points each, respectively. And then the rest. So I think there's actually 2 playoff places up for grabs for anyone that can find some form. Ball lumped back in again. There's Jake Cooper, header over. Strong header over, but it's just looping over the bar there. Blackburn and West Brom, I think, are in the other 2 playoff positions. I'm speaking entirely blind. I've got my phone in my inside pocket, and I cannot be bothered to get it out to check these facts, listeners. So do pull me up on any factual errors in the show. You can get a full money-back refund from Apple Podcasts. Mihailo Ivanovic, speaking to the South London press, says how much he loves the rapport he's built up with the fans, particularly the big fucking Serbian thing that's caught hold, really, BFS. I've campaigned long and hard against that, listeners, haven't I? I've spoken out against this big fucking Serbian thing. But I've decided in the spirit of the times to totally abandon my position on that and go with it. The people have spoken. Who am I to go against the will of the people? BFS it is. Ball cut out there. This is Casper Denor now on the break forwards. No one moving for him. Inside though is Aaron Connolly. He gets clipped. Draws a good free kick, Aaron Connolly, listeners. 2 men around him then. He managed to get the ball, control it and draw a free kick. Joe Bryan again, just left of centre, about halfway inside the West Brom half. Cooper's been a threat each time we've had a situation like this, dead ball situation. So far he's caught the ball but put it wide of the mark. So the fact he's winning the ball is good to see. Hasn't really been a threat from free kicks for a long time. Must have been something they've been doing work on. Cross, unfortunately, into a cerise shirt there, listeners. That's lumped back into the mix. And ball. Paul, the linesman's not giving it. As the ball came down, it was controlled, it looked like, by the West Brom defender, but no dice from the linesman. Ball into the mix. 1-0 Millwall! Ball into the right side, it's Jake Cooper! 1-0 the Lions, headed down and into the net. Beautiful crossing from the right side. I don't know who that was, that Kramer. I'm going to have a look on the replay. And there's Big Jake waving his flag on the big screen. Let's have a look. Nice cross back into the danger zone. Ball breaks from that kind of lump forwards. Handball shout there. It comes away from the defender. Is that Connery? I can't tell you from this distance. And there's Jake Cooper to put it away very, very neatly. 1-0 Millwall. I'm going to all this trouble to describe something you will have seen 10 times over by the time you get to hear the show, dear listeners. That's the way we do it on this particular production. Will there be a bird shit discount for my season ticket? I wonder if I could get money off if there's enough bird shit on the seat. I might swing from not wanting it to wanting it if there's money in it for me. I might email Mark Fairbrother and ask for a bird shit discount or a cobweb discount now as well. It's like the Hammer House of Horror up here in Birdshit Corner, listeners. One for all you older listeners there, the Hammer House of Horror. Connolly, beautiful ball forwards. This is Femi Aziz on the break forwards. The 11 was back there with him. That was a beautiful pass forwards from Aaron Connolly, listeners, into the path of Aziz. You can hear the applause. Hundle chasing the goalkeeper back. Good pressing by Millwall. This is Ivanovic over on the 14 here. Forces a poor ball there and Tanganga draws the free kick. Nice pressing Millwall, listeners. You can hear the applause all around me. Like a Lord's Test match on a particularly fine stroke from an English batsman on a beautiful summer's day. That kind of ripple of applause there. A purring sound to it. Anyway, free kick. Millwall just inside the West Brom half, left of centre, right of centre, sorry. It's going to be Joe Bryan to float another one in. We're on 25 minutes. In it comes, it's lumped forwards. That's a poor cross. Joe Bryan. Oh, mate. Straight to the goalkeeper. West Bromwich Albion on the break now. The 11 has given acres of space, the freedom of the borough. Finds the 2 on the right side, ball into the middle, back-heeled in for an equaliser. Acres of space given to that 11 to find the ball out wide right and the cross in, back-heeled for an equaliser. 26 minutes. That's a poor goal to concede, in my opinion. That was sloppy. 28 minutes gone, listeners. Disappointing to concede that goal. That was a sloppy goal. I'll have to see it again. I didn't bother looking at the replay. I couldn't be asked, but I'm sure you'll know more about it by the time you hear this show. Taken short corner, the 11 now. Right side, again, space. There's no one. Oh, he's at the crossbar. Bloody hell. Shot into the melee, and it seems to have come off the underside of the crossbar. Wallace has a punt from distance. Wow. Very sloppy defending there, Millwall. I don't know what's happened to our defence. It's gone from nervous breakdown practice. Let's have a look at that. Will they show it? Mill dodge a bullet. 29 minutes, listeners. I know the price of playing better football is that you're going to concede chances, but we do need to keep the defence reasonably tight. The 11's been given acres of time and space twice now. This ball falls, this is Jake Cooper. Oh, how can he be penalised for that? He's put the leg out on the free ball and the referees give a free kick. The 7's rolling around like he's been shot. 17, I think it is. A little bit of rage in front of me, pointing at West Bromwich Albion fans going on, blokes bellowing venomous words at them. Here comes the cross into the mix, headed downwards, straight into the arms, thankfully, of Lucas Jensen. That was a chance for them. One of the comments made by Alex Neil after the Plymouth debacle was that he turned the dial up too much on the passing pretty stuff, I suppose. I don't know what other word to choose for it, but we are certainly more direct today. I'm not sure it's totally effective at times. We're putting the ball long. We're aiming at Ivanovic, who I'm not sure yet is the fully rounded big target man that style demands. So I think we've got to find a different way. We never look quite as comfortable passing the ball around as other teams, listeners. But we've still got it. There's a ball through to Kramer. He's done well to get the ball out and keep possession. Dispossessed at the last, unfortunately. Gone for a West Brom throw. Good work by Kramer. He's given a bit of a hospital ball there, and did well to drive through that, but he's just got away from it at the end now. Well, there's the half-time whistle. Like we said, the half started off brightly enough, and we all got that goal in front, but unfortunately West Brom have clawed their way back into the game over the course of the 45 minutes, and it finishes at half-time at 1 each.
Achtung, Millwall.
Interesting email received, listeners, from Will. He says, "Dear Nick, I've been following the Lions a bit longer than you since the days of Keith Weller, but I only attended matches from 70-71, so yeah, about a year before me, Will. Prior to that, as a kid, I had no money and followed them on the South East London and Kentish Mercury. There's a paper from the past. Just sitting here listening to your Plymouth Away podcast. I listened to the Plymouth manager after their cup game. That's the win over Liverpool that we were talking about. And I thought that, this guy knows what he's doing. His tactics beat Arnie's Slot of Liverpool. And I immediately thought our game was going to be a real tough test. And so it proved. He didn't beat our team, he beat Alex Neil's tactics, which I think Alex Neil kind of admitted afterwards. I'd read about Plymouth's recruitment of him. I think he was a Serbian guy, Will, or something like that, a Bosnian. And it seems they didn't seek him out, but he applied and impressed them. So here's another thought. Did he apply for the Millwall job? It would be interesting to know. And did we get the wrong man? That's a harsh on Alex Neil, I think. I mean, obviously that was a one-off loss there. Not a very good loss, clearly. But I do think, they've discovered a bit of an unknown nugget, I think, in there, man. I don't know what his name is. I'm trying to waffle away about somebody whose name escapes me. A beardy guy. But he did well against Liverpool. I watched that game on the telly. And they've brought in some really committed players. Their centre-half, Katic, who I think was against us on Wednesday. That's the guy who had his tooth knocked out, and he carried on against Liverpool, which is the kind of commitment that you would expect from a Millwall player. Let's be honest, from the classic Millwall players of the past. So I think what really struck me, one or two said to me Plymouth weren't that good. I don't know if I'd agree with it. I thought they were a pretty good team who really were playing to the maximum of their ability. They're chasing a route out of relegation. And they were 100% behind it. So I think we just went into it in a rather sloppy frame of mind. The sloppiness that I think we've just seen for the equalising goal there, I think in situations where we need to start to close it out to just kill off the immediate impetus after the goal, we just seem to let them have time and space today. So we certainly gave Plymouth too much of that on Wednesday night. It's one of those things that Alex Neil's got to work. I don't think we've got the wrong manager, Will. I think it's too early to say on the one hand, but everything I've seen and heard from Alex Neil has been quite impressive. So good email. Take your point, and great call for the South East London and Kentish Mercury. I haven't read that for a long while, so Great stuff, Will. Big thank you, mate. Do keep the emails coming, listeners. achtungmillwall@gmail.com. If you want to go into a little bit more of expansive mode and email me, always good to read your stuff. A few comments on the WhatsApp groups that I subscribe to, listeners. Putting the goal down to the poor free kick initially from Joe Bryan, which went straight to the goalkeeper, and then I haven't seen it back since. Apparently some flat work by the said player as they came forwards. I don't know. Lions attacking the Coldblow Lane end in the second half, as per the venerable beat. Chance to set matters right. I thought we went off the board a little bit in that first half. Once the goal was conceded, which was sloppy defending, as we've said a few times. But we lost our way slightly. Anyway, we were underway. This is the 32. A little bit of space in front of the Kramer there. Tanganga takes it away from the goalkeeper. There's a little bit of panicky defending here, Millwall. This is the 4. Now the ball into the box. That's cushion headed away by Joe Bryan. Quite stylishly done. This is Kundal on the left side. Played into space for Femi Aziz. It's actually a good ball. Aziz on the left side. Ball into the middle towards Ivanovic. He gets away from him. Shoot, say the crowd. This is Aziz now, back on the left side. Another cross into the box. Flashes across goal. This is Kramer. It's it high into the top deck of the Coldblow. Not quite. It actually fell short. It was over the bar anyway. Make no mistake. It went up and actually fell short of the top deck. So you can get the kind of trajectory of that ball up rather than forwards. Good move, Millwall. Ball flashing across the opposition penalty area is good. More of that, please. Lovely cut out there by Jake Cooper. Beautiful. Gives Millwall a chance to break down the left side. This is Kundal. On the left, he's got Aziz overlapping him. Ball's again crossing into the far post. Tipped over by the goalkeeper. Going to be a right side corner. Some nice crossing, some nice wing play by Femi Aziz there, dear listeners. So Joe Bryan to take, I think. Deep cross. Headed back into the tipped over by the goalkeeper. Jake Cooper headed on target. Tipped over by the goalkeeper. Another corner, left-sided corner this time. Dangerous, a few dangerous headers on target there from Jake. Looks like he's peeling away, trying to find space. Which is quite an intelligent response to some of the attention that he gets. Because obviously we've seen a lot of him being rugby tackled when he's in the mix. We seem to be trying to get him to move away from the obvious zones and play the ball to him, which is fantastic to see that. Almost intelligent. Lumped in again, deep head. Oh, headed off the header downwards. I don't know who that was. Was that Tanganga? Cleared off the line, dear listeners. Mill looking dangerous with these aerial balls into the box. Great tackling back there by Femi Aziz, dear listeners. Good work. The boy does the work. Casper Denor, we're on 60 minutes. Kramer breaking forwards, fainted himself there. Ball into the box is going to be collected by the goalkeeper. They got away rather from Tristan Kramer. I think he set himself too much of a task there and actually dummied himself, listeners. He fooled himself as to what he was going to do. Wonderful paragraph from the MSC notes. I don't know if anyone's read this, but apparently people have been trying to get in through the turnstiles in recent games using children's season ticket cards. Don't know how much of this is. There was one report of one turnstile with about 10 or 12 people trying to get in on a kid's ticket. I'm sure it goes on everywhere personally, but made me laugh. This is 18 now on the left side, ball into the box. That should be collected by Billy Mitchell and is. Connolly to clear towards Ivanovic, but unfortunately he's not involved. I want the boy to be a success, but he's got to get himself involved in the game and make more of a nuisance of himself up front. At the moment, he's wandering around a little bit like me when I don't know where I'm going in a strange town, round and round in circles. Apparently, disabled carers often show up without their disabled person trying to get in on the free ticket that they get. Which also made me laugh. Something out of Little Britain, isn't it? Right-sided corner here for West Brom, dear listeners. 62 minutes. Wallace drawing the heat over there. This is standard behaviour. I mean, whether right or wrong, take your pick. Forlorn love broken is always a bitter thing, isn't it? There's a ball floated across the 6-yard box from the right side there. No one near it, thankfully. I thought for one awful moment it might drift in at the far post, but it didn't. Millwall substitution time. This is Connolly coming out. This is going to be new signing Camille Negley. Connolly comes out of the game. Negley comes in. I thought he was one of the few bright spots. Few bright spots at Plymouth, listeners, and there weren't many, but he was in the first half anyway. This is West Brom on the attack here. It's going to go for a goal kick. Wallace reacting to his own player there, and of course the crowd love that. It does make me laugh, listeners. I don't know who amongst us would not take the better deal in a workplace situation. I mean, I'm not saying don't call him that, but I am saying that who wouldn't have done what he did? Who wouldn't go somewhere else and earn, I don't know how much more money, but that's basically the deal, isn't it? Coming towards the halfway point in the second half. Millwall starting to get ahead of steam up now. This is Kundal, 66 minutes, ball into the box. Header there from Ivanovic, I think that was. Didn't really get hold of it. It's gone for a goal kick. Mitchell finds Aziz on the left side, and men in front of him. This is Ivanovic, inside is Kasper Denor. Kramer on the right side. Header on target, but no power for Negley there. Ball in from the right side. Negley got a header on it, but no oomph on that, dear listeners. 72 minutes. So Mitchell and Denor out, Honeyman and Saville into those positions. Defensive 2. The final 15 minutes, listeners. I was talking yesterday about Richard Sadlier, which I hope is going to be one of the guests soon on the Wall Talk podcast, listeners. We're talking about players who have come on strong after, fairly insipid starts. And I think if there was ever a classic example of that, it was Richard Sadlier. The young Richard Sadlier didn't look anything like it. It was great work there. That's Ivanovic. Tries to slide in George Honeyman there, but we do win a throw-in over on the left side. I'm thinking in the context of Ivanovic. It sounded like I've slagged him off a little bit in this game. I don't mean to criticise him. Little backheel pass there, that's just got away. This is Millwall now, trying to build ahead of steam. This is Honeyman. Finds Ivanovic. Lovely little bit of control. That's Kundal. Difficult ball fired at him. Kundal on a drifty run there. This is Honeyman, does well there, cut out by Tanganga. He's got a man wide right. This is Kramer. What can he do? Ball was put too far in front of him. I've long been fascinated by people who leave the game 10 minutes early. It's all of my life. I mean, I've seen it at Coldblow Lane, you see it here, you see it everywhere, I know, but 10 minutes of a game that's still in the balance. There must be some bus seat or train seat. I mean, maybe if you've got a plane to catch, or I don't know, a set train you've got to be on, or you get charged more. I don't know, but I've never really understood people that leave games early. Have you, listeners? Where do you stand on the leaving 10 minutes early question? This is Kramer on the right side. He's just got away. This is great work there by Negley. Done really well there, because that was loose play by Kramer. Got away from him, but Negley nipped in there and caught the ball. It's forced the right-sided corner. 80 minutes on my watch. Ticking towards 81. Jules Saville with the corner on the right side. In it comes. It's a deep one. The goalkeeper's come for it. Punches it clear. Over the head of Jules Honeyman on the return there. This is Saville on the right side though. He gets the ball back into the mix. Flick header this. Oh! Cooper with the ball back across the box there. Free kick there. Joe Bryan putting his ball. I thought the referee let play flow there. That probably would have been the better decision there, but the 12 gets a yellow card. Honeyman bravely put his head in there where the boots were flying. Wins Millwall a free kick on the halfway line. 81 going towards 82 minutes now. This is Jules Honeyman on the right side of the halfway line. Floats it in, right to left. It's cleared by the cerise shirts as Brian feeds Saville on the left side. Ball into the middle, across the face of goal. This is Nagley. What can he do? Oh, blasting shot batted over by the goalkeeper from a very tight angle. Left-sided corner, dear listeners. That was on target and hard driven. Goalkeeper done brilliantly to get a hand on that and push it over. This is Cooper. Spreads it to Kramer, who we keep forgetting is a central defender by trade. On the right side. Back to Cooper via Tanganga. Jules Saville. Finds Ivanovic, spreads it. This is Kramer on the right side. What can he do? Cuts inside, trying to pass the wing. I thought he might have had a go there, to be honest. I don't know what kind of shot he's got on him. This is Honeyman now on the right side. Negley. We know he's got a shot on him. He's going to have a go. It's on target. Kundal in there. Goes to tumbling. The goal howls for a penalty, but not going to be given, I don't think. Shot was hard and on target there. Goalkeeper nearly spilled it into the path of Kundal. Following in. 86 minutes. There's a push. Referee's let that go. Great tackling back by Joe Bryan. Referee missed a clear push there. I would be berating that referee something chronic if I was out there, listeners. Tanganga clearly pushed from behind, and the referee don't see that. He's seen plenty, but not that. Ball down the channel for Ivanovic to chase down. He's not going to get that, unfortunately. He's just gone all the way back to the goalkeeper. Ball spread by West Brom. That's beaten Bryan over on the right side. Ball into the box. Chance on the 18. Oh, shot wide right. I thought that was in for a moment, listeners. My heart skipped a beat. I don't need that, listeners, as you know. Jake Cooper, won't disagree with that. Scorer of the goal. And along with Tanganga, it's been a really solid defensive performance this afternoon, listeners, but I won't disagree with that at all. It's been a fighting second half by the Lions. We haven't really carved out enough direct chances for the amount of possession and pressure we've had, but it's been a half where we've really looked to get the ball forwards, which is fantastic to see. This is last chance saloon for Millwall now. This is Joe Bryan into Kundal. Jules Honeyman. Aziz over on the left side. Ball into the middle. Oh, wide right. I think that was Ivanovic, I think. I think that'll probably be doing us for the afternoon, listeners. People are saying their goodbyes to their friends and neighbours, and there is the final whistle. It finishes 1 each. Probably a fair result overall. Much stronger second half by the Lions. Real fighting performance. Disappointed to have conceded that equaliser in the first half, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. It finishes at the Den. Millwall 1, West Bromwich Albion 1.
Achtung, Millwall.
Welcome back, dear listeners. Welcome to our familiar guest. I haven't had you on for a while. It's Michael Avery. How you doing, Michael?
It has been somewhat of a while. The diary's been a bit full, Nick. I was meant to be on after Plymouth, but a combination of basically a poor game, not wanting to talk about 5-1, and being late home from training was a bit of a contribution. So I thought I'd join in for West Brom.
I forgive you, mate. I forgive you. I thought yesterday was a much improved performance, Mike. I mean, I was just looking at the statistics. I'm not a great one for stats, as listeners will know, but I hadn't really accounted for how much we dominated the game. 11 shots to their 7, 6 on target to their 3. It was 54% to their 45% possession. So it was actually quite we were certainly on the kind of more dominant side of the match there, which I'm not sure I quite came away with that sense. Although we did lay siege to their goal a little bit in the latter part of the second half, didn't we?
Yeah, it was one of those ones, wasn't it, really? Like you say, in hindsight, when you walk away from the game, you sort of think, how did we get much from it? And again, in hindsight, apart from sort of mad 5-10 minutes of the first half, I thought we totally dominated proceedings, really. I think West Brom at one point in the first half, I remember going to Avery Senior saying, like, these ain't much cop at all. For a team, who tends to be a bit...
Top 6, yeah.
I didn't think they did a lot, and I mean, Joe Bryan got a lot of slack for the goal. Obviously, like it all came from a pretty poor free kick that went to the goalkeeper for about and into the gap that he should have been in. But ultimately, I thought even Brian, who's had a good couple of weeks recently, I thought he had a good game. It wasn't a bad performance by any means, and
No.
it was a bit
He's
of
a,
me. I mean, I know you said about the stats, but there was a bit of me thinking, do you know what? After that midweek, it's just nice to get back to getting a point and a bit of stability.
Well, it's totally refreshing just to have a decent performance out of the Millwall side because, having kind of built myself up slightly, looking forward to it. That's the ultimate sin as a Millwall fan, Mike. I look forward to seeing us on Wednesday night. And then obviously it was a shambles down, a total shambles. It's just nice for it not to be a mess like that. So, I took a bit of comfort from that. Joe Bryan is an enigma. I cannot get my head around how a player can veer from some really good defensive work, and that's another thing that I picked out from yesterday's performance. He was arguably one of the contenders for man of the match, as well as villain of the match with that poor free kick, and then the unfortunate back goal. I don't think he could have done much about that own goal, but it still goes up against his name, doesn't it? Harsh game football.
Yeah, first thing I want to say is I'd love to know what his goal bonus is.
I don't know his own goal bonus.
Yeah, including own goals, he scored 3 in the last 4 or something, hasn't he? But this kind of goes back to it, and it shows sort of our unforgiving football is really. Because again, going back to it, like you say, I thought he didn't really put overly a foot wrong. There were times with Jed Wallace who comes down, and from last time he was there, likes being a panto villain. And one thing I might add as well, even though he got injured, and some say he might not have done a lot, I'd still have Jed Wallace back in my team tomorrow. I thought he had quite a good game at West Brom, considering he's been in and out of the side. But Brian did a good job against him, kept him quiet to some degree, as we say. It was just unfortunate. It was a little bit of, like I say, it was a woeful free kick that the keeper just plucked out of the air from nothing, and he threw in a position Brian should have been in. But as you say, apart from that, I thought we did okay, Joe Bryan, and worthy of a man of the match contender.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the West Brom team, and I mean, obviously there was the villain of the piece, the panto twirling his moustache, Jed Wallace up front, who took all the heat. I hadn't realised that Callum Styles was in their their left back in their back four, and he was the man who the handball shout was against when in the build up to the goal. It was his alleged handball that before it came back in again to be headed home really well by Jake Cooper. So we've got Styles in the back line, with Jason Malumbi in there too. I didn't really notice him, and then obviously Jed Wallace, who you couldn't really miss. But I thought West Brom were quite. They had their moments. They hit the crossbar, didn't they? In that strange nervous breakdown period that we had when we conceded the equaliser, and then they hit the crossbar. The boy was given like the freedom of the borough of Bermondsey to run it and come in and cut inside, and somehow it came off Billy Mitchell's head onto the crossbar. I mean, you chance in a million, really, but we dodged the bullet there. But that's almost not far short of a third of their side ex-Millwall players there: Styles, Malumbi, and Jed Wallace.
But one of the odd ones, weren't it? In hindsight, looking back, it wasn't by any means like a dull game or anything like that. I mean, the start of the second half, I don't remember a lot happening at all.
We built to a crescendo. I thought we really turned the heat up in the second half.
Yeah,
but
did well. I don't think it was one of those. It was one of those games where it wasn't necessarily boring, but it's not one of those that ever live long in the memory. Really, it had some moments. It was okay, but like as we just said a moment ago, Millwall always had their usual drubbing once a year, and that was obviously midweek. I think if we would have lost that at the weekend, we might have been in danger of undoing all of Alex Neil's hard work recently, and the way we're playing the game. And do you know what it seemed like to me, the way the game actually sort of went? It seemed a little bit like 2 mid-table teams and the season's already over for me.
Yeah, it felt that way, didn't it? Yeah.
It really did. And it's not taking anything away from the Millwall side. It's probably a compliment, really, if you think about it in hindsight, to have much trouble we was in a few months ago, that we can now, a few months later, look back and go, do you know what? We'll take a 1-1 against West Brom at home. It's a relatively good result. Doesn't leave us in any trouble. Still leaves us within a bit of a sniff of the playoffs. And it was a good performance. I think there was a few stray passes that went the wrong way. I think there was a few lackluster performances here and there. But ultimately, it for me, like we say, it was a kind of job done mid-table draw, really.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't a huge amount to take away from the game. A few positives. I mean, the back line did their usual sterling job. But I thought Kramer probably for the first time started to look a bit like a centre back covering a right back position. Just first time really where you could say that. I think some of his forward runs and the whole kind of essence of being a right back just eluded him rather yesterday. Otherwise, I mean, Billy in midfield. I thought Billy he took a bit of stick online, but he gets stick a lot anyway, doesn't he, Billy Mitchell? But I thought he did okay in with Denor in the defensive midfield position.
Yeah, and in truth, I was actually, I mean, Saville didn't have a particularly good game against Plymouth in the week, did he? So I wasn't sort of surprised to see him dropped. But I thought they both okay, Denor and Mitchell. And again, it was that kind of game where there was a lot of okays, nothing brilliant. The one for me that I thought was a little bit disappointing and a bit off the pace for me was Connolly. I'm not sure.
Did you? Yeah, I like him. I thought he did okay. You always get a sense there's more in the tank with him, but.
Yeah, that's my point. There were times when I thought, like I say, he puts in a bit of a shift and he does all right. But I think yesterday was one of those games where he, could have given a bit more and a bit with Ivanovic as well. We had a couple of glimmers which looked pretty good. But again, he's your record signing, regardless of what he costs. He is on paper a record signing. You maybe expect a little bit more. But I don't know about you. Obviously, I've not heard your show yet that you put out with your in-game action, but. It did strike me that, Cooper was a great header for the goal, don't get me wrong, but he's missed two or three within the 6-yard box, 18-yard box, which really should hit the target.
He got offside. We got offside quite a bit yesterday, and I think there was a chance which he put over the bar in the first half, which was flagged as offside. What I was going to make the point of Jake Cooper because I thought he's actually starting to look an aerial threat again from the better crossing that we've now got available to us. But he actually thought he looked a bit more, got a goal, looked a bit more dangerous. So I think they must have worked on him, Michael, because he was getting manhandled too much and it was becoming a bit stale, wasn't it? The whole lump it forward to Jake Cooper from set pieces routine. And it wasn't looking very effective. But I thought for the first time in a little while, he started to look like the Jake Cooper of old yesterday, although he was caught offside and did miss. But then he got the goal. So that was the crucial moment, I thought, from our point of view, because we had chances in the second half, but we just didn't take them. It was just like a case of what if, wasn't it, in that second half? My main gripe, and I put this online, I don't know if you'd agree with it, is Ivanovic up front. I like the boy and I like his finishing when he gets the chance, but he's not a target man. He hasn't got the nous and he hasn't got the physicality yet to really hold his own. I'll be very pleased once Jake Coburn comes back. Josh Coburn, sorry.
Yeah, no, exactly. Jake Coburn is probably his cousin, but yeah, we are looking forward to
Jake's and Josh
coming back. Yeah, but I mean, you're right. I mean, this is what kind of point I was making with Ivanovic there. It's a really odd one, isn't it? And it might come down to his maturity a little bit. I mean, I know there's some that write him off about, obviously from the country he comes from, it's not as if it's an absolute sort of deep pool of talent for how many people there are in Serbia and all this, but there is that inconsistency that's coming in. And I remember you saying, obviously, when we first signed him and he had that bit of a slow start, got to give him a bit of time, got to get him playing a certain style. And you know what? Some of the finishes he's had and some of the runs he's done, he does look a good player. He does look
I like the boy. I do like the boy, but yeah.
For me, it's a little bit like you said, it's a little bit consistency. It's frustrating when he's, again, going back to it, it's not his fault, but he's the man with a big price tag. He's the one who in theory, all your attacks and everything's coming through. And like you say, there's a certain section of the fan base who's waiting for someone else to come back in.
We don't really have an alternative at the moment until Jake or Josh or Jim Coburn comes back from injury. Any of them will do. I think he might be better in that kind of rotation as Coburn maybe starting, Ivanovic coming in as an impact player.
Yeah.
As the game goes along, and until we can get through to the summertime, we can do some strength work, I think, because he just looked a bit lightweight for me yesterday. I don't mean to slate the boy, Michael, but you're at a high level of football here, and the defenders he was up against were lumps and experienced lumps as well. So
yeah,
he just looked a little bit lost, didn't he?
It's one I always say when we play against sides and say like a better side would do this against us or a better. Do you think West Brom? I thought they were very poor personally for their level of expectation more than anything else.
For their position in the table, I was expecting a lot more out of them.
Yeah.
Wallace was fired up because it's just panto time, isn't it? And he desperately wants a win at the Den just to clap us all off as he goes off at the end, and then somehow the balance is made. But no, I mean, apart from him, I didn't think any of them looked particularly eye-catching yesterday. No one caught my eye anyway. They were a functional side at best. I think that's the division. If you look at the table, I think the top four are. There's a group at the top, 60+ points group, and then there's quite a gap down to the Blackburn and West Brom downwards, and then including us in the 40-point group. It's just a real gap, and I think that goes across the division, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think this is obviously another topic for another show. But again, this is if I was the Football League, obviously the Premier League is its own beast, and they just worry about their 20 clubs. But if I was a bit worried, if I was the Football League, I would be very concerned about the gulf that's starting to appear now between the Championship and the Premier League.
Absolutely.
Even Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, I know I said this at the start of the season when I was on your show, but I mean Sheffield United, who they were absolutely horrendous last year, the year before. They started on a -2 start difference because of like an admin error, and they find themselves going top. But Burnley, who you can like they had like a Vincent Company type with Scott Parker there, and they're just they're third at the moment, but they've kept 9 clean sheets in a row now. But whereas last season they couldn't stop conceding goals.
No, I mean you're right. I mean I'd say good luck to Nottingham Forest, who are up in the top 4 in the Champions League start. So I mean we've played them in the 3rd division, haven't we? So it is possible, but you really do need to be at a fairly big club and be really well managed. It's going to be interesting to see how Leeds do if they get up this season, or Sunderland if they get up this season, because they are big clubs and they're in danger of becoming yo-yos. Dominate the Championship and come back down. But then even that pass is not so long since I would have said that about West Brom. So, and I thought they looked very average, as we've said a couple of times in this conversation. One other point, just before we leave the game yesterday, I'm just looking at our substitutes bench yesterday, Mike. I mean, obviously we saw Negley, as you might expect, for the price tag, and Roberts is sub goalkeeper. But Bangura Williams, Imaku, I hadn't realised he was on the bench. It's going to be quite an art for Alex Neil to keep some of these players involved in the squad, isn't it? Because we do have we haven't even seen Benny Benicio, Botti. We haven't seen him at all. So, it's a strange situation. We've got a certain embarrassment of riches going forwards, where we're going to be maybe passing over one of the better talents I've seen in a long while in Bangura Williams, and I like Imaku when I see him as well. So keeping that juggling going is going to be a difficult one for Alex Neil.
Yeah, 100%. But one thing I will say though is you're saying that, and it is a worry. But when was the last time we had a bench or depth this strong?
An embarrassment of riches. I don't know.
I mean, do you remember a few years back when I think it was the COVID season when Rowett, Rowett was obviously in charge, and in the nicest way, that I'm not knocking anyone, because obviously this is a level of football I'll never play, and I'll never think you should really critique like the ability of footballers, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But it goes back to that year when let's not think too long ago when we desperately needed a sub. Gary Rowett turned around and there was Ben Thompson. So now it's that kind of nice headache to have. We've actually got a bit of talent on the bench, but this is why Neil's been brought in, probably paid a lot more money than we'll ever be on, Nick. And in Gallon we trust.
In Gallon we trust. Well, there's going to be more movement, I expect, almost certainly in the summertime, because we've said it a few times, contracts coming to an end. Some players will be trying their level best to get on the renewal, but you can imagine quite a few will be moving on, and the bar is being moved up. It's good. I think it remains for me a very exciting time to be a Millwall fan. So
absolutely.
We'll see where we go. A midweek fixture at Preston, so that's going to be. And if they didn't fancy Plymouth away, they might not fancy Preston on a Tuesday night, Mike. I don't know if which would be the better option, Plymouth or Preston. They're both a long way away, and they'll both be freezing cold. So we'll see. Michael, while I've got you on the phone, as you're on the phone here, we were on an internet stream. While I've got you on the internet stream, I wanted to just touch on. I mentioned it in the live piece that I just did, but the MSC had a meeting. I think it was last week with the club. It's quite an interesting report. It's on the MSC website, listeners. If you want to
check it out. There's quite an extensive conversation that took place about season tickets and concessions and pricing generally. The nub of which seems to be that we've got to expect season ticket price rises, and the club are also looking at the various categories of ticket pricing and the various areas around the stadium. And it does look like quite a complicated question, but the main takeaway that I took from it, if you'd agree, is that the club see themselves as falling short in terms of season ticket income. Our season tickets are much cheaper, as they see it, than equivalent clubs in the London area. I had a quick look at QPR, which was mentioned, I think, in somewhere I've seen it, but the top end QPR season ticket is 700 odd quid, which seems high to me, but they must be selling there at that rate. As against Millwall, which was 450, I believe, if memory serves. So I think clearly the clubs see this as a revenue generation area that we need to make the most of. What did you pick up from the meeting? Is that your take on it?
Do you know what? One thing I want to put out there straight away before we say anything, and you know me well enough, I think now we've known each other a number of years, and I'm a very honest person in the sense that if I think the club are doing something well, I'll say. If I think the club are doing something wrong, I'll say as well. Yeah. And whatever people's opinions of the supporters club is, you're entitled to it. But also, one thing I will say is that we are constructively critical. Like we're not going to go and moan for the sake of moaning, but also we're not going to bend over if there's something we don't agree with. On behalf of fans. And the first thing I will say was the club sort of proactively mentioned to us about it. So the club wanted to open the discussions about season ticket pricing with us. A lot of clubs with a lot of owners, you see it at the moment with other clubs around the world, they'll just chuck prices out and not even bother consulting their supporters or their fan base. So I'll give the club credit there that straight away that they've actually wanted to say, this is what we're like. It's a very open forum. This is the sort of thing we want. What do you think? And all this kind of thing. They even asked us to reach out to fans to ask told us to reach out to fans to ask for their views of things, which we collated and we took away. So I will give the club credit there. What was discussed was, and it was quite interesting, and obviously, Catherine Gale, the chair of the MSC, and I, we did question that not why is there so many concession areas in a negative way, but just in general in the sense of if you look at some clubs, they just have like under 18 and down.
Because we have under 12 categories, under 14 and 16 to 21. We've got quite an array of categories.
Yeah,
including senior. If the club's listening, including senior prices, which I'm not hoping to qualify for. If absolutely.
But that was one of the things as well, and again, it was that common sense thing in the sense that that was a lot of the conversations we had with the club. A lot of it was common sense. So, as an example, is legally they're not allowed to let fans in who are under 14 by themselves. Like my son, for example, my oldest is 13. He can't walk in the den without me, even though he's 13. Yeah. So we're saying, well, why is there under 12 category? If if you've got a section that's specifically under 12s, why is that age group chosen? Why is this kind of thing? And the club did say a lot of it was legacy issues, and from previous establishments, and like
just no one's ever cleaned this thing up in a sense, isn't it?
Exactly, and also as well as like the 18 to 21 category was what was previously the student category. So they don't want to call it students because just in case someone 19 turned up without a student card and all this kind of stuff, and again, I will be critical of the club if I need to be, but it seems to me from what we was talking, they have all these categories to make it cost effective for everyone the best they can. Obviously there's got to be a line that's drawn, but the reason there are so many categories is because they're trying their best to help out the way they can. Also, they've mentioned, as I said to you obviously before the game when I bumped into you outside, the club have had a lot of price freezes over the years. It might not have been every year, and obviously after the COVID season they honoured all the season tickets that were bought before and gave you the season ticket again. So to be fair to the club, they are, if you compare it to other clubs, like you said with QPR, they are noticeably down price-wise, season tickets compared to everywhere else. And I think it kind of goes with them, not necessarily like squeezing the fans dry to try and get money to compete. But it is like, again, what John Berylson always used to say, if you want us to compete, you've got to be 14, 15, 16,000 every week in ticket money. And again, a bit like that with the club is that, unfortunately, through no fault of anyone, like in working man, prices are going up. It's not just wages of players or anything like that. You know, the prices to keep things going, electric bills, etc., etc., etc. Life is going up, and you know, Millwall, after all these years of freezing prices, it is one of these things that it will eventually go up. So it was that kind of discussion. Some things that were suggested, we sort of argued the case. It was put, one of the things that they mentioned. Again, this is nothing gospel. This is nothing they're putting in. But again, it was an open forum. One of the things they suggested as well was, would different sections of the ground season tickets be worth more than others? And we questioned. Again, are you taking the size of the stadium into comparison? So
this is the idea that the seats on or nearest the halfway line view are should be more expensive than the ones at the bird shit corner end or the other end of the stand, or the same in the east stand. You know, which is the idea that you have a worse view there than you do on the halfway line. Whether there's anything in that or not, I don't know, because I think the point was made in the minutes that where you sit in the stadium is very much a personal choice, isn't it? You know, people are often sitting with friends, family, and neighbours they've sat with for many, many years. It's not necessarily a view-related thing, Mike.
No, absolutely, and also as well, and you know, like I mentioned, and again, the club took this all on board. No one argued with us. They actually wrote it all down and took it away. You know, I said that I would struggle to justify an increase personally. If I was the season ticket person, I would struggle to justify an increase in a position of a seat in a 20,000 capacity compared to an 85, 90,000 capacity stadium, i.e. Wembley. Yeah. You know, I could understand the tiers being different, but I couldn't understand why one, you know, where you sit in block 1, Nick, would be 30, 40 quid less than mine in block 3 when there's only
I'd agree with
one
that.
block between us. You know, and again, the club didn't dismiss it and go, well, that's what we've decided. The club like, no, that's fine, we'll take it into account and all this kind of thing as well. And you know, Jamal Allen was in the meeting as well, like fans know him as Jampot. He's a popular member on social media and part of the supporters club as well. He sits like right in the front of the East Lower. So again, like we said in other sports, if you compare it to like a tennis, a hockey, a rugby, any other sport with a ball involved, Jam's seats would arguably be more than mine. You know, so again, it's down to the personal preference. So it does seem like prices are going to go up. How much they are going to go up, we don't know. And to be fair, I don't even think the club know. But what the club are trying to do, and again, to be fair to them, is put the prices up, which we need to do just by natural inflation, but not to a point so it hurts us so much that we are affected and feel
you hurt the attendance. Yeah, I mean, that would be it's an easy point to make, really. I mean, there's a clear balance, or I say clear balance, there's a balance to be drawn between pricing people out of the game, which is a danger at one end of the spectrum, and being too cheap, which I understand that things, you know, inflation, that things cost, and if you want to watch a certain level of football, you're going to have to expect to pay for it. So there's a balance to be struck. I'm glad that I don't have that responsibility, Michael, because whatever you do, you're going to be someone's going to say you're wrong.
The thing is as well, though, Nick, and this is again where the club are actually quite good, and I've found, you know, when I've chatted to Mark Fairbrother a few times about bits and pieces, and obviously Max and Alex Russell for the SLO. And, you know, from my personal experience, I can't speak for all the other fans, but my personal experience, they've always been very receptive to us, you know, what we want to hear, what we want to do, you know, and all this kind of thing, and enhancing the fan atmosphere. And it's like I said to you as well, Nick, you know, I don't think people would overly mind if prices would go up if they could see an improvement in like the fan experience and the match day experience and the way we're playing and all this kind of thing. And that's what I said to Mark. You know, he won't mind me saying this, but I did say to him, obviously, you've got some complaints about, you know, some bits and pieces like with the ground. Some of it's because the ground's 30, 35 years old. You know, so
showing
a lot
its
of it's to
age
do
as
with
well,
that.
isn't it?
But I said to Mark, I said I think it would be very interesting to see fans' views on an increase if the toilets were okay, if there wasn't queuing at turnstiles. You know, like if you're if you're paying Waitrose prices and getting Waitrose rather than paying Waitrose prices and getting Tesco, you know. So but one thing I will say as well is, like I said, they are very open to suggestions. You know, like a lot of other clubs, and obviously previous people might have actually, you could argue they might go, well, we're just putting up tough shit. That's it. All you've got to do. But Mark and his team are very much right. We're taking this away, and we'll go with it. And one thing I will say is that they were very open about it. And you know, I mentioned this, and a couple of other mentioned, like Joe mentioned it from the MSC, is that they not necessarily want more benefits in the sense that we want more all the time, but at least highlight the existing benefits there are. You know, like if there's a season ticket holder, apart from getting extra points when you go away, what benefits do we get? You know, and this is where Max was saying, I mean, this is your area now, where you're one of the media darlings of the club officially. But you know, it's things, yeah, it's things like the Mill TV. You know, like it's a good channel. It does good stuff. You know, more perks for junior Lions season ticket holders, all that kind of thing. And you know, again, the club are open to it. So I personally left thinking it was quite a constructive meeting. Am I under illusion the season ticket prices are going to stay the same? I'll be very surprised if they do. But what I would also be more surprised with was if it goes up to a point where it's not affordable, you feel ripped off, and you don't get anything for it. I think, to be fair to the club, they are trying, but it's a balancing act, Nick. You know, like how can you improve things if you don't put prices up?
No, absolutely. I mean, you know, as we've said, won't they hammer the point, but there is a balance between pricing people out and families out that have been going there for years. And, you know, we live in the real world, so prices will go up because of inflation pressures and other pressures. So that's just how it is. I think most of us understand that. I was interested to see the Mill TV. It seems quite an income generator. £85,000 it's made for Mill Football Club. And I don't think it's a bad channel. I mean, I like it because you get the extended highlights. I was saying this to you yesterday. You know, you don't just get the 2-minute goal glut or you know, chance glut. You get like a more stretched out highlights package, which I find quite useful, especially when I'm doing these things. So, you know, there's other benefits that can be built into having a season ticket. It's got to be good. I'm glad I don't have to try and justify any price rise, because that's never going to be an easy thing to sell to anybody.
Well, I'll tell you what, to pull the rug out from you and like, don't take this the wrong way, but just from your point, what's your views on it, Nick? I mean, like, you know, it's I'll come on and talk about it from our point of view, but you're obviously a fan, which the supporters club to a degree, being associate members when you're a season ticket holder, you become a member. What were your thoughts when you saw the notes? Because in the nicest way, we're very much like, you know, when you sort of hover over the upload because you're worried about the flack you're going to get back. You know, you didn't ask this, you didn't say this, you've done this. But we've not got a lot back, in the sense, not that no one cares, but it seems that people seem happy we're asking the questions and the club are giving those answers.
Yeah, I mean, people always take to out. There's many channels available to people now to express outrage, and price rises will never be a popular thing. So that's just a given. My own view is that you've got to expect prices to, at some point, reflect the quality of what you're watching. The quality of what we're watching has really improved. You know, I mean, the players we're signing now are genuinely exciting players to watch. Negley only came on briefly yesterday, but every time I've seen the boy get the ball, you are waiting for him to do something. So that's what you want to go and watch football for, because it's meant to be an entertainment. It's meant to be an escape from, you know, everyday life. So that much is good. The match day experience is always a difficult thing. I have been to the fan zone area. I think it's improved a lot, and it'd be nice to see some toilets, which I think is mentioned in the.
Funny thing, just to cut you off there. I went back. I came in through that entrance the other day, the Surrey Canal Road entrance. And there was a block of toilets put in. But again, this
like
kind of goes
types, the temporary concert type. Toilets,
and this kind of goes with the. Again, unfortunately, the money involved, like fans are like crying out, you know, and I won't sort of say specifically who the people were, you know, because we've got emails and messages about it, but some were saying about, well, there's no toilets in the fan zone, as people want to go to the toilet when they're buying beer and all this. Suddenly, like the next week or two, you see all these toilets put up, the temporary ones that like the lorry ones, and you know, there's your one around the back. So again, give the club credit, they listen, but secondly, they do cost money. So you want these as fans, which you do, and let's just be realistic. Things you want can be put in, but they are at a cost.
They will cost, yeah. No, I think the fan zone's been a big improvement. every time I've been down. I mean, I will be honest that the food has been a little bit indifferent on the occasion that I used it, which was some pie mash once, but I don't know how it is now, so I don't really go down that end of the stadium. But generally speaking, you don't get bad reports. There seems to be a lot of people down there whenever I've walked through that area, so it's clearly a popular thing.
Yeah.
And you've got to have the facilities. The club have got them, so fair play. I mean, the only thing I'd say is you don't want too steep a price rise that blows people out of the water. And
I agree.
They can't go with their families and their traditional groups that they go with. That's the only thing I'd say. I'm sure the club are ahead of that.
Yeah, one thing I will say, everyone will be delighted to know that the season ticket increase will pay for more light shows next year.
Excellent.
No, I've just made that up. Before anyone does me for anything.
They did the light show when we beat QPR, didn't they? I thought
that was banging, wasn't it?
That was quite a nice way to do it. I think if you can keep the light show to that, then that'll be
No,
fun.
I'm only joking. Before anyone accuses me or goes to Mark Fairbrother and says you're putting my ticket queue up 60 quid to put some LEDs on a bit longer, it's not the case. I'm only joking.
That light show thing was one of the biggest most viewed things I've ever done on the podcast. So clearly there's a desire to watch Mill fans booing the light show.
but can I just? I mean, I'm going to sound like a right moaner here, and I'm going to get people going, Michael Avery, you're moaning all this. One thing that did come out, I was quite surprised with, was you don't mind the odd person who goes, "Oh, I've accidentally walked in with my 4-year-old's ticket," kind of thing, but. You do, you just go, let them in.
Dear. I had to laugh at that, yeah.
Yeah, you have a laugh at it. But again, it's one of those things where, and with Millwall did acknowledge as well, they said, we're not the only club who do it, and we know everyone else tries it. And, I was talking to someone earlier on, it happens at non-league. Sometimes at non-league games, they just go, get him for a fiver. It's easier to have the argument. But, the amount of people as a collective, you don't mind one or two, but, across the QPR and the Cardiff game, you're talking about like 60, 70 people just in one turnstile trying to get in on their kid's ticket. But and we laugh and joke about it, and it is true. It is quite funny, trying to get a 50-year-old not having a shave and pass as an 18-year-old. But one thing I will say is, though, let's not beat around the bush. If that happens every single game, what's 35 times 31 turnstile? Do that by 4 turnstiles over the course of the season. You're looking at hundreds of thousands of pounds being taken off the club.
Yeah, and the one that also made me laugh in a kind of ironic way was the disabled carers without their disabled person trying to get on their carer's ticket.
And the thing is as well, and again, one thing I will say is that when we was talking about the disabled fans, firstly, nobody said specifics at all. Nobody said any specifics or conditions or anything like that. So no one has to worry about anything like that. What also struck me was the number we've got. And again, I actually, if you want to turn it the other way, it's probably very, very good of our club that we're acknowledging all these disabilities compared with other clubs. I think they said Blackburn only had something like 16 and we've got over 300. So you could argue one side of the coin, oh, you're letting anyone in who say they've got something wrong with them. But the other side of the coin, you can go, do you know what? This is a club who care about its fan base, that they're acknowledging these disabilities. But again, I have to say there was a bit of me where when they said, oh, some carers are trying to get in without their disabled like family member or friend, and I'm thinking, how is this about? Sorry, explain that again.
It's like an episode of Little Britain, isn't it?
Yeah. But again, one thing and final thing I will say on it, is that I will be brutally honest. You are some people who just and I ain't gonna lie, and you are, but there are some people who just don't like the club. Like they're very much that they're supporters of the club. You just don't like them. Like we could win the championship, win every single game, but they'll still get the ump that we conceded 2 goals. I can't reiterate enough just how positive the meeting was and how open the club were to suggestions from the fan base. I really cannot reiterate enough, Dan. I was physically there.
Fair play. Well, do have a look at those notes, listeners. They're on the Mill Supporters Club website. You can it's a download of a PDF file, so you can have a look at it and make your own judgments and opinions known to the Supporters Club. Michael, I want to say a big thank you, mate. We're running on here, so I'll let you go. Can
I just say one more thing before I go?
Go for it.
Thank you for not mentioning the abuse I got at Dilltown away, even though I physically wasn't there.
When they hate on you, mate, that's when you've made it.
Yeah. Just listeners. Obviously, I'll do a side project for the main show. Covering Erith Town, and
you're getting stick for it.
For those who aren't too knowledgeable on non-league football, I said it the other week. Erith Town and Deal Town, they're a bit like that sort of Crystal Palace and Brighton rivalry, where they're quite far away, but they don't get on. And then apparently, halfway through the second half, there was Avery. You can shove your podcast up your arse. Which
sure, I don't know how you do that, but still. But try.
Do you know what though? One thing I will say, and Nick, you know me well enough by now. I generally thought that was hilarious. Honestly, some people take it a bit sensitive. But what do we say? No, what is it?
It's better to be talked about than not to be.
Listen. Even bad publicity is publicity, mate.
100%, mate.
Yeah.
Lovely stuff, Michael. Big thank you for joining me on the Sunday night, mate. Appreciate it.
No, that's fine, mate. Honestly, thanks for your time. Thanks for having me on.
And thank you to you too, dear listeners, for tuning in. We'll be back on Monday with Merv. Until then, from Mike and myself, it's Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
Yeah, up the gallon.
Well, each season starts with a big chunk of hope. It's the same year after year. Optimism reigns and the faith is ingrained, amplified by oceans of beer. Transfers show promise, some dross has been sold. The coach says all the right things. The weekly trips to the land of pipe dreams, bells of doom don't yet ring. And through the ups and downs, through the heartache and tears, commitment never subsides, passion never dies. Through the sun and the rain, we always come back again. It's a roller coaster you make the most of. Come along for the ride. We're a family of many. When we go to a game, you get to know quite a few. We sing as a choir till our faces are red, while our toes and fingers turn blue. There's Billy and his dad, been coming for years, the emotions passed on at birth. There's kids and grannies and all in betweens, we all know what this worth. And through the ups and downs, through the heartache and tears, commitment never subsides, and the passion never dies. Through the sun and the rain, we always come back again. It's a roller coaster you make the most of. Come along for the ride. It's a heartache, a headache, for heaven's sake, why go? Those moments of bliss you dare not miss, worth the price of the show. the most important of unimportant things. We know that's a fact. You say it's a matter of life and death. It's much more serious than that. Well, through the ups and downs, through the heartaches and tears, commitment never subsides, and the passion never dies. Through the sun and the rain, we always come back again. It's a roller coaster you make the most of. Come along for the ride. Through the ups and downs, yeah, through the ups and downs, through the ups and downs.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.